Okay, guys, you can see we're just about at solar time. You can see March 19, 2021, and our coordinates in Jerusalem. Okay, this will be solar time. You see the counting down, okay, to high noon. And we can show you this on our sundial. This is not an official reading with the sundial guide. I just want to demonstrate it to you. So you can see the spring equinox will be tomorrow. But what we're looking at here is on this sundial. This is not perfect, guys. This is not going to give us a perfect reading of the spring equinox. But basically what you have is there's portals that the Enoch calendar has. And when this is at high noon, which there's a little point there, you can see these two things. Let me give you a view. See those two, like this here? So that tells you where high noon is. And then when the shadow approaches this line, that is the high noon at the spring equinox. Then in the summer, it would come higher, and then the shadow would move in each portal, and then you would have the summer solstice here. And then it would come back for the fall equinox, and then it would move out towards the outside of the disk for the winter solstice. Okay, this is what the original Dead Sea Scroll sundial looks like, and ours is just a replica. Okay, so we're very close to the reading of the time of the spring equinox. So I wanted to show you that because today is the third day on the calendar. You can see it's the third day of the first month. So the fourth day of the month is a Sabbath. Okay, so the year always starts on a Wednesday. So the first day of the year is always a Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday is the fourth day of the week. Okay, then today is the sixth day of the week. It's a Friday. Okay, in the Enoch calendar, you don't change these days. The days stay the same. So you got Wednesday, okay, Thursday, Friday. That's today. That's the time I'm recording this video. Okay, so you can see that, we rest on the Sabbath. So I won't post a video on the Sabbath on the official equinox. You can see it's not perfect, guys, but it's getting close to that line there. And that will be the spring equinox. All right, so there you can see our sundial and how close we are. It's not perfect, as we said, but you can see that the fourth portal, the shadow is in that fourth portal. So, very exciting. And let's talk a little bit about the calendar. So, of course, in this video, what you can see is we're going to release the calendar going forward into Gregorian year 2022, 23, and 24. But as we do, I want to just do some explanation, some basics of the calendar. You will search, you will see many Enoch calendars. You'll see different dates. So you say, all right, Leland, why should I follow your calendar? Or you may say, Leland, your calendar is confusing. I can't read it. I can't understand. Well, what I encourage you to do is if you're old, you will most likely have difficulty with this. So what I encourage you to do is take your grandchildren. I'm serious. This is what people have told me. They cannot understand the calendar. And they showed their grandchildren, and then they show them a video like this. Simple. And the grandchildren understand, okay? Then they tell their grandparents, okay, this is what he's talking about. What happens is when you're in Babylon, you are so conditioned to a religious system. Unfortunately, it's true. The calendar is a religious system, okay? So the beast designs that to get you to worship the beast. And then he puts in his different pagan festivals to get you to worship Satan. Okay, so once you come off that system, it's coming out of Babylon. So let's discuss some things. Why is your calendar correct? Okay, number one, every month has 30 days. Okay, that means there's 360 days in a year. So in the book of Revelation, the woman goes in the wilderness 1,260 days. Those are 360 days in a year. Now, how the Enoch calendar works is you can accomplish that. You can do that. Every month, you can see it has a row of 6 days and a row of 5. So 6 times 5 is 30. Okay? So what you're looking at here is this calendar does not change. The whole calendar is right here on this piece of wood. Okay, so the first month is Nisan. It's in the spring. It's at the time we read the equinox. As you can see here, okay, we just passed through and we're very close to the equinox. All right, we got the equinox. Equinox tells you that's the springtime of the year the calendar starts. It doesn't start in the fall, doesn't start in the winter. This is when the calendar starts. All right. Once it starts, it has 30 days in the month. Okay? So the first month has 30 days. The second month has 30 days. The third month has 30 days. Okay? Now what happens is there are 4 days in the year, okay, that are not reckoned in the months. They're not counted in the 360. So what that means is you have a day is called a takufa. Okay? And what that is, it's a solar day. Okay, so it's outside of the months. So they would appear in months 1, months 4, months 7, and 10. Okay, they're fuller solar days. So what are they? They're the equinox, okay? So in the spring, you have the spring equinox. That's the first month. In the fourth month, it's summer. Okay, that's the summer solstice. In the fall, that comes back to the equinox. It's the autumnal equinox in the fall. And then you have the winter solstice. Okay, so if we correspond to the Gregorian months, you would have the first month begins in March. The fourth month is June. The seventh month is September. And the 10th month is December. Okay, now even when you say December, okay, what you're saying is you're saying dece, okay, ember. Dece in Latin means 10. Okay, so the calendar was changed to get you to worship Caesar, get you to worship the beast. But it used to be that month 7, sept, okay, in the Latin means 7, okay, just like it says here, 7, all right? But it's not the 7th month in the Gregorian calendar, is it? No, it was changed, okay? So that's what it says, the beast, he changed the times, the seasons. So sept, September, 7, that's the fall. So within these months, months 1, 4, 7, and 10, there's a day, an extra day. It's called a takufa. It will be the solar day, okay, that exists outside the months. Now, it's not going to fall precisely here, guys. It has different space between each one. But this is what allows us to do, like Noah, he said there were 5 months and 30 days in the month, 150 days precisely. So you can do that where you have 1, 2, 3 months, all 30 days. You don't include the 31 in that. You don't count it. Then you got another 4 or 5. You have 5 months. And in 5 months, you have 150 days. You have precisely 5 months. Okay? This is the only way you can do that, okay, is with the Enoch calendar. All right. So you can see in our calendar we have this circle. This is 7-sided. This will be the day of the week. Okay, so the day of the week is this Sabbath, the 7th day of the week. That's sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. That's the Sabbath. Doesn't change. Okay, the Enoch calendar doesn't change the day of the week. In fact, the Enoch calendar is to start every single year on the same day of the week. Okay, the Gregorian calendar will change the first. Okay, so New Year's will always be on a different day. Okay, so for example, the spring equinox, March 20th, it's always on a different day. Okay, but when we have that spring equinox and it comes over to a Wednesday, all right, now we got something extraordinary going on. What's going on? Well, this will be our year 1. Now, why is this calendar right? Is because we have done this for 8 years. You can see this says year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now this is 6 This here is 5. I'll show you this closely if it's not clear in the video. But basically what we're getting at is we've done the calendar for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Okay, so a lot of people say, oh, so I'm doing the Enoch calendar. All right, if you have not done the Enoch calendar for more than 6 years, you will not realize the problems that you will have to come to terms with, okay? You would have to do it, actually even more than that, really. And what you have to do is try and determine, the solar cycle doesn't change. It's 365.24 days in a solar year, okay? I've measured this. I've gone to Jerusalem. I've measured the summer solstice, fall equinox, spring equinox, and winter solstice. I've measured them in Jerusalem, okay? So if anything is off, by, like some people say a week, no, it's not. The most you could try to do is like a day, or say there's a difference, but there isn't. There's no change. The solar cycle has stayed the same. All right. So why is the calendar right? Number one, the book of Esther tells us precisely when to add a week to the calendar. So the Enoch calendar, you don't add a month, you don't add a day, you add a week. So you have to come to terms with, all right, you don't break this cycle of the week. You always start on a Wednesday. You already start the calendar on the 4th day of the week, 4th day of creation when the sun. Okay. So you always have to start on that day. You can't change that. All right. You have 364 days total, which is 52 weeks. 52 times 7 is 364. You have a perfect order. Okay. All right. What you have to come to terms with is, when do you put that week in? The book of Esther tells you. Okay, how? The book of Esther tells you that when the king, he sat upon the throne 3 years and a half. He had a feast, 180 days. What's that? 6 months. 30 days in a month. 30 times 6 is 180. So this is clearly the Enoch calendar happening in the book of Esther. Then the king holds a feast of 7 days. Okay, that's a leap week. So you got 180 days plus 7 days. So that's when you have to add the week. All right? So you would actually have to know the years in the book of Esther to determine where you add that week. Where do you have that in the year? Okay? Now, in the application of the calendar, our first year of applying the calendar was 2014 in the Gregorian year. So in the spring 2014, that was our year 1. Okay? And we had this alignment, as we said. You have the spring equinox, coming up on a Wednesday or Thursday, I forget. But there's another sign, okay? So the book of Esther proves, all right, you have a leap week, okay? After 3.5 years, the king sits upon the throne. So that's what we're explaining. When the king sits upon the throne, after 3.5 years, you apply the calendar. Why? The king had those around him. He had 7 around him that knew the times and seasons. Okay? These are the archangels. The Bible lists Michael and Gabriel, but there's another one called Uriel. Uriel is the one that taught Enoch the calendar. So he taught the calendar. He learned the calendar. All right. So that's what you can see in the book of Esther, that clearly the wise men that knew the times, okay, they taught the times to Enoch, and there you can see it in the book of Esther. So after... just before 2014, you would have had a leap week. Before 2014, okay? Now, then what you have to do is you have to count the years. You have to keep track of all the years to know when to do that again, all right? So then you count 5 years, you come to 5 years, and after 5 years, you add a leap week again. You add a leap week, you come to 2019, okay? So 2019, you have the spring equinox on the first day of the first month. Okay? So that's 2019, 2020. Now, in Gregorian year 2021, that's why you can see the equinox has moved over to the 6th day, because we always start the year on a Wednesday. So the equinox, as you look at this, the equinox is going to move, okay, from left to right. Okay, so what it does is it moves, and when it moves, you have to reset it. So you have to know what year to reset it. Now, the other thing that factors in to resetting the calendar and to know that your years are right is the moon. Yes, the moon does factor in. Dead Sea Scrolls talk about this. In their first year of their first month, they had a full moon on the first day and the 30th day. Okay, so now, once you see that, you got a full moon on the first day. So what we're doing is we're looking for three things. We have a Wednesday. We have the spring equinox and a full moon. We're looking for all of those to happen together. It's unusual. It's not common. So it's not perfect. But when that comes close to all of those, then that's your first year. And then you reset. Okay, so what you'll do is you'll see that every 5 years and then every 6 years, you would add that leap week. Just like it says in the book of Esther, very clear. Now this is where the area of people will stumble. Okay, you see the calendar, it's 30 days. You see the spring equinox, but that's what they don't get. It's in Psalm 81. Psalm 81, it says, blow the trumpet in the Kodesh. The Kodesh is the month, the first day of the first month. In the Keseh, in the Hebrew. Keseh means a full moon. So Psalm 81, verse 3, tells you when to start the year. You blow the trumpet, you start the year on the full moon. You got multiple witnesses. You got the book of Esther. You got the Dead Sea Scrolls where they kept the calendar. And you got Psalm 81. 3 witnesses prove when to start the year. Okay? So that's why the calendar we submit to you is correct. Okay? Many other signs. I'm just showing you the date and the facts through the scripture how to, do this here. Okay? So what you would do is you would have, this is the whole year. So the year, the first month, okay, always starts on a Wednesday. The 4th month always starts on a Wednesday. The 7th month always starts on a Wednesday. So in our calendar here, you can see on this one piece of wood, I don't need anything else. All I need is this piece of wood. I keep track of the day of the week. What day of the week is it? Okay. Then the day of the week tells me, okay, it's the 6th day of the week. Okay, it's a Friday. All right. And I look at the calendar. Okay, that's here. I know it's the 3rd day because we're reading the spring equinox, right? Okay. Now, also, I must keep track of the year. If you don't have the year right, then you're going to have your leap year wrong and your whole feast cycle will be wrong. Okay? So, why is it important? Because how do you know when your feast is? All right, you have to know the first day of the first month. You have to know the first day of the 7th month. And it doesn't change. It doesn't change to a different day of the week or anything like that. So the lunar calendar, you can't follow. It doesn't say that. And Book of Revelation says 1,260 days, 360 days in a year. Okay? So you can see it's year 3 in our cycle. Okay? So after what we're doing is we're submitting the future calendar. So then next year in the Gregorian year 2022, that's the 4th year, 22. Okay, 2023 is our 5th year, and 2024 is the 6th year in the cycle. At the conclusion of that year, 2024, we would add a week. Okay, then 2025 would begin the cycle again, and then you count 5. So it alternates. Okay, this is the thing that's also challenging is you must. That's why the book of Esther shows us when to add that leap week. Once we got that, then we have to, then you say, okay, well, you find this alignment of our 3 things. What is the 3 things? Spring equinox, Wednesday, and a full moon. Okay? Those occur at these intervals of every 5 and 6 years, which start year 1. Okay? I hope that's clear. All right? That's why we have a sundial. That's why we use this here to see when the equinox is, okay? In the Hebrew, it's called a tekufa. So where the tekufa is, okay, it would be around the feast times, okay? It's going to be in the first week of the first month. It's going to be in the first week of the 4th month, summer, okay? Fall, it's going to be around, actually, it's going around Yom Kippur, okay? It goes around there. And then in winter, I believe winter, it's in the first week of the 10th month. 10th month here. So in this board, how this works is you have 1 month. You see the 1, month number 1, month number 2, month number 3. Okay, so though on the calendar it looks the same. 30 days, 30 days, 30 days. After 3, you come to 4. Okay, then you have these months. Month 4, month 5, month 6. Then you come to the fall equinox. You have month 7, month 8, month 9. That's why you can see every season or every 3 months, the calendar doesn't change, stays the same. It looks exactly the same, see? So that, I know it's a challenge for people because the 7 days of the week do not change. The Sabbath doesn't change, okay? Now, normally what you're looking at is a calendar that has a row of 7 days, okay? That's just what you're used to, okay? But instead, this has rows of 6. Why you do that, Leland? Well, the reason, as we explained, every month would have 30 days, 30 days, 30 days, okay? So you don't need a calendar. I submit the calendar so you can see the days of the Gregorian dates. Obviously, you don't see the moon cycle here. You don't see the Gregorian dates. So you guys that are still on the beast calendar and you want to look at your phones and all that stuff, you need the piece of paper that we submit to show you where the Gregorian dates are. But if you were to leave Babylon altogether, you leave the whole system, everything you're looking at here is where you can follow the calendar. You can see on the sundial, even though it's not perfect, okay, but you can see when the equinox and solstice is, okay? You can see, if you keep track of the day of the week, very important. Keep track of the day of the week to know what day of the week is. All right. Then you find that in the month, you got the day of the week, you got the month. You have to keep track of the years, okay? And also you have to keep track of where the equinox is following in solstice, okay? So that's the whole Enoch calendar. And I'm just doing this as like an intro to the Enoch calendar playlist, okay? And I'm also submitting the calendar for year 2022, year 2023, and year 2024. Okay, so those years, okay, we're going to submit the basic information on the calendar. Okay, normally the calendar has 5 pages, but we're just going to give you 2 pages of just the calendar. Okay, so you can have those years going forward. Okay, so let's recap. In the Enoch calendar, we can see it, Genesis and Revelation. There's 30 days in a month. Okay, days don't change. 30 days, 30 days, 30 days. The lunar calendar, you can't do that because if you follow the moon, it has 29.5 days in the cycle. So that means you're going to have less days in a year. It's only 354 days in a year. Then what they do is they add a month. So then you have 383 days in a month when they add a 13th month. Okay, the calendar doesn't say you have 13 months. You have 12 months. Okay, you don't add a month. You add a week to adjust. Every calendar you're going to have to adjust. You have 365.24. You're going to have to adjust. Doesn't matter which one. So, but there's a significance because the Most High does everything for a reason. Okay? All right, let's just show you some close-ups of our board and our information. Here's our sundial. Here's our calendar. And here you can see year 1, year 2, year 3. Okay, so then if you couldn't see that well in the video, what you do is you have a leap cycle every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Okay, and after 5 years, you add a week. Then you count 6 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you add a week. So you can see where we are. We've been doing this 8 years. So we're in year 8, but it's year 3, okay, before in our counting of 6. So we're counting year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We add a week, then we count 5 again. So you just alternate back and forth. And one of the scribers even noticed that when you look at the board and you count, you can also see you go across 6, and you go down 5. 6 times 5 is 30. Okay, so that's why we can, on one piece of wood, okay? We can teach the whole calendar. This is really all you need. You have to keep track of the weeks, though. If you lose track of the day of the week, that's going to mess you up. You should be able to keep track of the year, because every spring equinox you're going to count and move it the next day, go down, and it's easy, okay? And you would know the seasons, okay? And all you need is all these seasons. If you take 3 months, that whole time period is going to look the same every 3 months, okay? So anytime you have the Tekufa, which is here, you can see that it says 31, but it's not counted in the 30. You're going to have those 4, so it's 364, all right? So this is the divine order, guys. This is the perfect order of the calendar. So you would have portals. You would have, there's different portals here, and it's the 4th portal, or this one here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th portal. So when we're here, we're either at the fall equinox or spring equinox, okay, and that will be that we would mark that in the spring to start the year, the first day, the first month, okay. And then in the summer, the shadow is going to go from spring to summer. It's going to move this way, and then here, this will be the summer solstice. Then it comes back and it'll move out. Now this one is not perfect, guys. It should be rounded more, so it's not perfect. But you can see we came pretty close with our reading today. Now, we said that there's a divine order to this. Okay, now let's explain how I first came to the calendar, how I knew there was a perfect order and the Enoch calendar was right. All right, now let me explain to you the principle of a fractal. So here you can see I'm holding in my hand a leaf. This is a leaf, right? Okay, it's not a tree, it's a leaf. But what a fractal is something that's very small. For example, a leaf. And then what you'll see is that this has branches to it. So this is a leaf, but it's not a tree, but it actually looks like a tree. So if you look at a tree, it has branches and it has a stem and has branches that come off, just like this leaf. So you can see if you look at the leaf, it also looks like a tree. So that's where sometimes the instructions of the Most High in something very small, like a leaf, also goes onto something large, okay, like the whole tree. So here's another example. It's just a leaf, right? Okay, but then you can see it has a stem, it has branches, so then it looks like a tree. Okay, see that? It's a very simple idea, but what this is this is a fractal. A fractal is something that's very small, okay, and then it expands upon the concept. Okay, now let's explain how this fractal, the principle of a fractal, shows us the fractal of time. Okay, now ultimately time must do one thing, as all things must do one thing, and that is worship the Most High. Okay? So that is what time must do. Now when we look at worship, we'll see that in Ezekiel, there are living creatures that have 4 faces. They have a face of a man, they have a face of eagle, so lion, ox, man, eagle. You have the 4 faces. So if we're looking down at the head, each head has 4 faces pointed in 4 directions. I said, okay. So when I began to look at this, I began to realize, of course, that the book of Ezekiel describes describes one. He makes great effort to describe one of the living creatures, like we see here, but then they form a orientation of 4. Okay, so just like we saw before, the fractal of 1, all right, you have 1, and then they form 4. So remember what we saw here. You saw a lion, an ox, a man, an eagle. Okay, you have 4 faces. Well, when the 4 come together, they do the same thing. So if the center is the throne. The center is everything the Most High created to worship and give him glory. So when you are in the center, okay, you see here lion, all right, and you see here you have lion. So when he is looking out, he sees in this direction lion. He sees in this direction eagle. He sees in this direction ox. He sees in this direction man. You see that? Okay. So that is clear from when he is looking out and he is seeing the four faces. But what happens to you when you look? Let's say you're looking in this direction. The sword is pointing. You only see one. You see? Ox, 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 ox. Okay? And let's say it were to move and it were to change its position. All right? And you're looking again in this direction. What do you see? Eagle, 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 eagle. Okay? And let's say it were to turn again. What happens again? All right, the same thing. Lion, 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 lion. And, of course, if you turn again, you see man. So when we go back to where we started, so what you can see is this is a fractal. So what's happening is they all have four faces, okay, but then they form a unit. So when they form that unit, it is a multiplier of that one piece of information, okay? So it's multiplying, it's getting bigger. It's a leaf, okay, that is turning into a tree. So now we're seeing the tree, the branches are expanding upon that. So we saw one, okay, and then we multiplied, okay, and we ended up with 4. And if we multiply again, all right, this is the pattern of the calendar that you see. And so now what you see is they were 4, okay, pointing at the center. But then if you take that 4, if you take that order of what you see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you move it up, okay, now you see the same pattern. Now you have another 4. Okay, you go over here and what happens? You got another 4. You got another 4. You got another 4. Okay, so those living creatures then form the next order around them. So we started with 1, right? We end up with 4. We have 4. Now we have 12. Okay, hopefully this makes sense. This is why it's 12 tribes of the children of Israel. There's 12 apostles. Okay, New Jerusalem says this. And there's 12 months. There's no extra months. See? So then once I realize, I say, okay, we have 12 months in a year. You can't, the lunar calendar is not correct. Okay? Because now our tree is expanding. Okay? So one living creature went to 4, 4 went to 12. Now, I was curious. I was like, all right, well, what if we did that again? So we had the 4, and then we have the 4 here. What if we added another 4 to this here? Okay? And now you can see it. Okay? You have these 4, but now look, you got 4. Another 4, and another 4. There, and another 4, right? And that keeps going. It keeps expanding. So once I did that, I realized that we are looking at something extraordinary. We're looking at time in an order of things. Okay? So what just happened is you have the woman clothed with the sun, and she has a crown of 12 stars. Those 12 stars, okay, those are constellations. So 12 constellations. All right? And then if we multiply, you got 12, but then if you go on the outside, you multiply 12 by 3. 12 times 3 is 36. So now you have another row, another level. Well, there happens to be 36 other constellations. They're called decans. So I began to realize that from that one living creature, we get 4. From 4, we get 12. From 12, we get 36. And this is time. Okay? So that's why the woman has a crown of 12 stars. Those are 12 constellations. And then in the year, you have what's called royal stars. So just like in the Enoch calendar, just like you could see, you have 4 solar days. You also have 4 solar stars. They're called royal stars, and they also would appear in the various constellations, okay, to mark that period of time of those those months, okay? Those 3 months in the year of each section. So Enoch talks about that, where there are 4 angels over that period of time, what we call a season. Biblically, a season is 6 months, summer, winter, okay? But in the Enoch calendar and in the solar days and everything, we do have the order of 4, and we have 4 royal stars: Aldebaran, Regulus, Antares, and Fomalhaut, okay? So those mark the seasons, as do the solar days, okay? Also, this diagram is helpful. Here you can see the portals, and we're describing the portals in the sundial as each position here. And also you can see the book of Enoch describes the day of equal sunlight and daylight, months 1 in 7, and how that changes and increases in the summer when there's more sun and less in the winter. So the yellow is sun. Okay, so 10th months and the 4th month, so summer solstice, winter solstice, and the equinoxes. He also lists the angels. So here's the 4 angels that are over the 4 positions of the seasons of each 3 months, and some of the names of the angels over each month. So this will be like an intro, guys, to the Enoch Calendar playlist. All of this we talk about over and over. I just want to do an update, do a new video, because we talk about the calendar in almost every video, and the people struggle to understand. And let's just do a glance where we are today. All right, here's our calendar, and here we are on the 3rd day of the 1st month. And some of you will not even really listen to a word I have to say. The only thing you will say is, Leland, where is that in the Gregorian calendar? So the 1st day of the 1st month was March 17th. Today is March 19th. Tomorrow is March 20th with the spring equinox. The priest course is Abijah, and that means that we have Passover on March 30th. Okay, the first day of unleavened bread is the 31st. Okay. And so there you can see the feast. Now how you read this is, you can see you have the color-coded days, okay? And that's where, on here, we've color-coded the days so you can see, okay? Today is Friday. It's dark blue, or light blue. Dark blue is Thursday. Saturday is green, okay? So then you can see the color here. Purple is Wednesday. Dark blue Thursday. Light blue Friday, green is Sabbath, yellow is Sunday, okay? So that's how, when you look at the calendar, you can see the rows go diagonally. So the Sabbath doesn't change. It's the 4th day, 11th day, 18th. It's just a different way than you're used to, because it's not in a row like this. The rows go diagonally, okay? So there you can see the Sabbath, March 20th, March 27th, April 3rd, and April 10th. So the Gregorian date is always at the bottom, and then you have the Enoch date here, okay? So, again, that's the basics and how to read the calendar. There'll be a PDF file for each of the years. There's a whole lot more in the playlist for the Enoch calendar. But be sure to get 2021 and 2022 PDF with 23 and 24. All those years will be in a PDF in the description field, guys. So thanks for watching, and God bless you.